the series is based on the security, and the host for our today's session is Vaishnav. So Vaishnav, over to you.
Thank you, Vishal. So good afternoon, everyone. So I think everyone is doing good and safe in your respective places and taking care of their families. So in today's session, we'll discuss like it's a series of sessions, like it's a three part series. So today we'll start with the first part, that is application level security. So for today's session, we have Neha Bharadwaj as our speaker. So she is Director of Solutions at StackNexus. She's an architect and technology enthusiast. She has mentored so many aspirants of Journey to Salesforce and who has planned to shift their career from other technologies to Salesforce. And she's a awesome community speaker, and she's very active in the community events, and she's also into community initiatives like we have an initiative of a New Delhi developer group, that is hashtag Let's Implement. So she is the core team member and designer of that program. And you can follow Neha on Twitter at Bhardwaj084 Neha, and you can connect with her on LinkedIn at Neha Bhardwaj. So she is very active and very caring in what all the things you ask her, and she is very responsive to what all the things you have doubts in there. So next, coming to my introduction, I'm Vaishnav. I'm the student Salesforce ambassador of Visakhapatnam Developer Group. I'm 2x Salesforce certified and mostly active in the community events and most active on the Twitter. And currently I'm an intern at Cloudbase. And you can follow me on Twitter and LinkedIn at APSB Vaishnav and Anantapalli PSB Vaishnav on LinkedIn. So this coming to Gurgaon Developer Group. So it was established it came into existence in Jan 2013, and I'll just post these links in the chat box after this after I stop my presentation. So you can follow Gurgaon Developer Group on Twitter, and please use these hashtags when you are posting anything or anything on Twitter or LinkedIn, so that we'll get to know all the updates and what all the learnings you have gained from the session, and what are your key takeaways. You can also follow our developer group, Gurgaon Developer Group, in the Trailblazer community. And we have a YouTube channel for this Gurgaon Developer Group, in which every session which is being recorded and it is being uploaded into the YouTube channel for your further references. Um, we'll be also uploading the series of sessions as well as a playlist there. We also have a Telegram channel with the name Gurgaon Developer Group. You can follow follow and join in that Telegram group as well for the updates regarding regarding the community sessions, and you can also post your questions which all you have uh, and need clarification on some topics and anything. So this is from my side, and thank you. And now I'm handing over the stage to Neha. So Neha, over to you.
Thank you, Vaishnav, and really thankful of you saying this amazing word about me. Okay, so let me present my screen and then. So, guys, welcome to today's session. Today, as Vishal and Vaishnav already shared with you, and those who did register for all the three session knows that this entire series, is going to be dedicated to Salesforce security architecture, not from just the admin perspective, but how to design the solution, how to think just away from just point and click and think of a solution, which option is best suited in order to implement something. So that's what is going to be the key focus of all the three sessions in this series. And those of who you don't know me, I have been involved in Salesforce Ohana for quite some time now. I'm Director of Solutions, StackNexus Inc. And I myself as an architect, I have been Java architect for several years, and then I switched my career to Salesforce, been designing solutions, I would say for last 6 years in Salesforce technology. Love to learn more. So I am a RPA. I'm going to be soon an architect in RPA as well. So again, a technology enthusiast I am. You can reach out to me on the channel that Vaishnav shared with you. Here it's on my PPT as well, and I'll be more than happy to help you at any point of time. Now, coming to the main point, what are we going to gauge in all the 3 session collaboratively? So first thing first, we're going to get hang of the security in Salesforce. What option do we have? What does Salesforce has to offer to the developers, implementers, designers, and to the customers? So that's what we're going to look at from a high level. The most important part of this session is going to be we will focus on implementing the Salesforce. So we will understand a business scenario related to application level security for a custom application in Salesforce, and we'll together design something. We'll together sit here on these 3 sessions, and per session, whatever we learn, we'll try to implement in that particular scenario that I'll explain it to you guys. Now, the third thing is we're going to be analyzing, as I say, various requirements related to the use case. And also, we're going to be looking at limitation of various object and field level security settings. So what can be done? I think most of us knows what can be done, but where's the limitation? Where to stop using that and move to a different solution is something that we need to understand while we design the solutions. So that's another thing that we'll focus on. And then again, let's design and implement the security solution. Once we understand everything, we'll go ahead and get our hands dirty. So coming to the next thing, you all would want to know why security. Why is security so important? And so there's a quote from Mark Benioff that I wanted to quote here. He says that customers trust us, make them successful, which is deliver unwavering security, reliability, performance, and compliance. And when he said that, I would say he pretty much covered every aspect of Salesforce platform, whatever it has to offer in terms of security. So basically, before I dive into what he said and how am I saying it maps to everything that a Salesforce platform has to offer in terms of security and reliability, I would like to tell you why security is so important and what I believe or what I think about security from an eye of an architect. So security is basic and yet most important aspect of overall Force.com design. So in order to design your robust and reliable solutions within your Force.com platform, you'll have to understand the platform security. That's very, very important to understand. Second thing is the record level access mechanism that you need to understand. And you have to understand outside the platform security and record level access, how to give access to the internal and external users and how to make things visible and share amongst them. And on the top of it, how to hide things from them. So we do talk about always how we can expose the data, but we will also talk during our sessions how we're going to hide the data. What are the ways we can hide the data? Because that's extremely important. Now, why am I've been giving these security sessions for quite a while. I mean, and my interest in security, I was basically into integrations and everything, and I used to love that. And then the 2020 thing happened, the world dynamics changed, and people were really forced into, every business had to adapt this work from home accessing system outside the private, boundaries of a corporate private network. And that's where I got really interested in security, and I tried to understand security better and from a broader aspect, from an architectural aspect, not just from the implementation aspect. So the role of security architecture was, as I said, was tested like never before in 2020. And now coming back to what Mark said, it's a quote that he gave in the beginning of 2020 when the pandemic started, and every other customer was looking for the option to have their systems take out of the premises, yet make sure that they are not exposing what they are not supposed to expose outside to the outside world. They had to maintain security, they had to maintain reliable, they had to stick to whatever performances they had to stick to the compliances like HIPAA and others, which government impose on the banks and other entities that are not expected to expose every data outside, keeping all that. So basically, as I was talking, he quoted this in 2020 when everybody was moving to these solutions, the cloud-based solutions, and yet these banks and the other entities who needs to government entities, they need to hide their data a lot. They cannot expose everything. They were really afraid of exposing their data out, letting their employees access the system outside their premises. And that's where Salesforce comes into the rescue, and you have seen the boom. Salesforce was popular, has been popular, but what you have seen in 2019-20 and what you're going to see for next couple of years, the graph is definitely going to go up, because what we are offering on the table is extremely important for the people. That is your security. That's what make an organization successful if they want to expose their data outside their premise. They really, really need to focus on this. Now, as I said, when Mark made this quote, he did talk about these three aspects, which are directly proportional to the three basic principles of security. When I call a solution, or when I call a platform secure, in that case, three principles are supposed to be applied, or three things are extremely important: confidentiality of your data, integrity of your data, and availability of your system and data. Absolutely important. And each one of it has an important role to play. So if I say confidentiality, again, so I'm trying to give you a bigger picture to understand the importance of everything. So hang on there for a little bit. So confidentiality, when we talk about it, it's about how your solution keep its data private. How do you keep it confident? How do you expose it yet hide it from unintentional user? That's what confidentiality is about. So now Salesforce, how does Salesforce gives the confidentiality? How does Salesforce manages the confidentiality is the most important question to address here. So confidentiality is directly proportional to the application security. And Salesforce handle application level security using the OWD, roles, profiles, permission sets, and many more. Okay, many more to discuss, but these are the main things that are used to control the application level security and maintain the confidentiality of the force.com platform. So that's what we're going to learn in our session, but wanted to relate how these aspects are related to the principle of security, that is confidentiality. Now, the second thing which comes into the picture is the integrity of data. You expose the system to the external user. Your system is outside the premises. Somebody can log in from a remote location in your system. Integrity is extremely important in that scenario. Very, 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 very important. So a solution or a platform, again, how will I call it integral? Why it's integral? Integrity means to keep the data safe and absolutely reliable, as Mark said. So the confidentiality is the application security, and your integrity is tying back to the reliability, what he spoke about. So keeping your data safe and reliable, okay? It should be correct data. It shouldn't be corrupted data while you're exposing, is something what integrity is about. And how Salesforce deals with security, or the integrity part of it, of the security architecture. Salesforce offers digital signatures. Salesforce offers certificates. Salesforce offers hashing, version controls, authentication controls, and I would say encryption, all that. I'll quickly give you a couple of examples so that you relate to these technical jargon that I spoke of. Excuse me. So authentication control, when we speak, it's the first line of defense. And authentication, authorization, we all have gone through that. So authentication means who can get into my system in the first place. That's the first lines of defense that Salesforce offers, the authentication part of it. Now, when I said the version control, you all must have heard about, I've seen a lot of people are here who have experience in Salesforce. So we must have seen the user login history, the field level changes, when you track the history or the version of the field values, that's what the field level tracking. And I would say the metadata changes that are done in the system. Salesforce has capability to store and report on everything of that sort. And when I talked about encryption, of course, encryption, there's a classic encryption. A lot of you must have used that field, the text field, which you can mask, and there are multiple ways to mask it. So that's what your encryption. Many of you might have heard about the Shield platform encryption, which Salesforce has to offer. I would really love to share what Shield platform encryption with you, but we'll cover it in, it's a little advanced topic, extremely important, advanced. We will try to cover it in the third session. So that's about the integrity and how it can be achieved. Now, the last bit of it is the availability of your data. Okay, so you're saying your data is confidential. Not everybody can access to the system. It's integral. Okay, everything is masked. Whatever is not supposed to be hidden at the field level is being hidden. You have taken care of everything. But if your system is not available, okay, there are several attacks on the system. You all know that there are mal attacks, the phishing, and everything. So your system at the platform level, I would say, should be able to deal with such situation, and Salesforce is well equipped with that. You guys might not have to take care of it because Salesforce has already taken care of those important things. Salesforce protects the data from phishing, from natural disaster where he has multiple copies, and station where they store the data. So Salesforce take care of that aspect, and you really don't have to worry about all that in comparison to the technologies that were used before this era of having the cloud system which are secure. So you were responsible. When I say you, the architects, the implementers, developers were absolutely responsible to handle a lot of things. Now with Salesforce coming into picture and they have so much to offer, you don't have to even worry about such things. Salesforce does take care of everything. The IP ranges from where you can log in, the two-factor authentication, everything, they do take care of it. So that's what about the security architecture, what security architecture Salesforce follows, the three principle of it. That's what I explained. So let me go to the next slide. And as we said that our focus for this particular session is going to be the application level security features. And whatever you see on screen, you might be really, you might have seen it somewhere here and there. These are the popular terminologies when it comes to the sharing and visibility and application level security. So IP ranges restriction, restricting the login hours, user authentication, object and field level security, profile permissions, and sharing rules, OWD, field audit encryptions. We'll deal with them, each one of them in detail going forward. But whenever you see all of these terminology, they are directly related to control the application level security layer of the force.com platform, directly related to that. This is where you control the application level security. Now, here comes the base of all. Where does it start from? So basically, all of this, all your security, everything is about what a user can access and what a user cannot access. And when I say what, it's generally related to the object, what object or what what kind of an entity he can access in the system, and regarding that entity, what attribute he can access in the system is what entire system is all about. So object, and then on the top of object, what fields a person is supposed to access in the system and not supposed to access in the system. That's what is going to be the focus. So let's try to dive in into these. But if you see that the object level security, I have put right against the user profiles and user permission sets. So these are the two places where you can control this basically. And again, your FLS can be controlled from these two places, and directly from the object level also you can control it. And then I'm going to share some access restrictions with you guys. What you can do with profiles and what you cannot do with profiles or permission sets is something that I would really want you to know, so that you know when and where to use profile and permission sets and where not to use profile and permission sets in order to give some kind of accesses. So we will dive into that definitely, which comes next. So again, these are the basic, as we spoke, the profiles, permission sets and permission sets groups, which is extremely interesting. And I'm going to talk in detail about this. And then, of course, we'll dive into FLS and the user profile permission descriptions. So let's do one thing. I'm not sure if I have shared it with you guys. Just give me 1 second. Okay, I think I have to share this with you. So if you see that the profile, so what does a profile mean? What can basically what profile can do for you? What kind of access profile can provide you is the object level and field level and record level. All three can be taken care from the profile level. And how we can do that? So basically, on the profile level, you can define the CRUDs basically. So at the profile level, you can do the CRUDs. So CRUD means what? You can create, you can read, you can update, and you can delete the record. And on the top of it, what you can do? You can do view all, right? And then the other one that you might have seen is modify all, which is extremely important to understand. Once you understand this, everything gets much more easier for you to grasp. So when you give CRUD permission on an object through a profile to a user, okay, what happens then? So when you say this person can create a record, of course, then what he can do, he can click on the new button inside the Salesforce platform, and for that particular object, he can create a new record. That's what this permission is about. Absolutely basic, simple. Read, of course, or view, he can see what he has created. Okay. And again, I'll try to emphasize upon this fact. He can see what he has created, what he owns. He can only see that part. Update, whatever he created, he can update. Delete, whatever he created, he can delete. So these 4 permissions are ownership based. Okay. The ownership controls everything related to the CRUD. So while we have been talking that the the OWD or the profiles are the base of every sharing, in my eye, when you look from the eye of an architect, the most important aspect in the security and what you're sharing and what is visible to a person is not the profile, is not the OWD, but I would say, and of course they are, but at the bottom of it lies the ownership. The ownership defines these 4 aspects. So if you own this, you can do this. If you do not own this, then it's a separate thing altogether. So this is one thing about the CRUD operation. The most important thing is view all and I would say modify all. These are very powerful permission. View all permission gives you access to every damn thing related to that object, to see that. Okay, so when I said record level access, you're getting it from here for the other people. Okay, from here you were getting it for yourself. Here you're getting the access, view access for everything that exists in your system. So if I say that a particular profile has a view all permission on account, that any user who has been assigned that profile can view any account in the system. And when we come to modify all, what does that mean? So this is, I would say, it's a God permission. That's what I call it. It's a God permission on the object. You can do almost anything when you have modify all. And guys, this is where I would say you have to stop yourself. You have to refrain yourself using modify all unless until it is absolutely required. Okay, so it does not only give you the create, read, update, and delete uh, across the platform on that object. It also gives you several other permissions, such as you can approve the record even if you do not own it. Okay, so that's dangerous. Okay, that's dangerous. So refrain yourself from that. Just so that you wanted to give all sort of CRUD permissions, do not go ahead and deal with modify all. Do not check that box at the profile level, because you're going to hand over a lot more than what you were expecting to give. You're going to give him permission to approve any kind of request on any record in the system for that object. You're going to give him the ownership transfer permission, the lead transfer permissions, mass delete permission. There's a lot which comes with the modify all. There's a list that Salesforce has provided what all modify all can give you. So beware of using modify all unless until it's an absolute requirement, unless it's unless until it's a God administrator that you're talking about. Do not give modify all. Refrain from using modify all unless it is absolutely required. And of course, this is scenario based. You would find scenarios where you would want a user to have all those accesses, but just why you try to give the basic one, don't use it. Now, talking about the profiles, let me just quickly navigate to this page. Sorry, there's some glitch here. So guys, let me know if you can see my browser. Is it visible to you guys?
No, Neha, not yet.
Okay. So if it's possible for you, let me do a thing. If you can try, I'll share these links with you, but I'll tell you in brief. Maybe there's I was facing some technical glitches, so I wouldn't be able to. But this lands nowhere but on the help.salesforce.com profile page. That's where it will land. You can learn more about profiles from there. But to be very, very precise, I've shared what CRUD, view all, modify all is. A couple of more things that you would want to understand about the profile is that you have a lot of standard profiles which which are availed by the Salesforce. Every org has several standard profiles. If it suits you, try to use the standard profiles. But the most important thing that you have to keep in mind is standard profiles have their limitations. You cannot edit the permissions there except a few. Of course, you can edit permissions like regarding the app availability, regarding the tab availability, and a few others. But on the major side of it, you cannot edit so much in the standard profile. So use it when you want very limited things, and whatever is available within the profile right away, then only try to use them. Otherwise, clone them and create your custom profiles and utilize them for better solutioning in Salesforce platform. So that's one thing. The other thing would be, I just spoke about the cloning. The other important thing would be there are a lot of system permissions, there are session settings, there are a lot of custom permission, app permissions that can be set from here, the tab permissions that can be set from here. It's a long list that you can perform. So open a page in your Salesforce org, try to go through it. There's a lot. Click on the edit button and see what all you can do from there. It's a powerful place to drive a lot of important functionality, not just from the record perspective, but from the system perspective also. You can control a lot from a profile. So absolutely read about it in details. But for the solutioning purpose, I have shared what I really wanted to emphasize upon, that you have to keep in mind using when you're using profile for solutioning. So now let's talk about the permission sets. Why when we have profiles, why permission sets? And the most important thing that Salesforce has been talking about the permission sets is that is that you can when you have an instance where you want a group of user or a user to access something extra or outside what you have given as a part of profile, then you go ahead and change the permission set, create a permission set and assign. Do not clone another profile, do not make another profile just because you wanted one user in that profile to be able to edit the reports. You would not want to create a clone of that profile just to click a checkbox. So what you will do, you will create a permission set. In that permission set, you will check the checkbox where a person can view and edit any report in the system, and then you assign it to that particular user or a group of user. That's what you can do. So that's I would say that's where the permission sets comes into the play. And to throw an example where you would want to use it again, imagine that there's an accounting team in your system, and they are working on the salaries object. On the salary object, there is just one person who you would want to have this God permission, which is modify all. Otherwise, everybody has the basic permissions. In that case, you will create a permission set, give the modify all to that particular permission set, and assign it to the intended user, instead of modifying the entire profile or creating an entire different profile for just one user, two user, or a set of user, for just to give them a couple of basic functionality on the top of it. And also how they come handy, because you might want to give modify all to several other people, and not just modify all. Let's take a better realistic example, as I spoke of the reports, access to reports. So some manager in the accounting team would have access to all the reports. Not every user would have access to those reports which are designed for the higher management. So that's one thing. And similarly, the same permission set you can use to give the report permissions to somebody in the HR department or somebody in the operations department. So using that same permission set, you were able to give that permission to multiple people without actually. And in the otherwise case, what you would have ended up doing in your solution is you would have created, say 3 profiles, one for operation person, one for HR person, and one for, I would say, the finance people. And if you wouldn't have been using the permission set, whereas one permission set for reporting is serving the purpose, here you would have ended up cloning the 3 profiles, total profiles in 6, and then just a checkbox in all 3, which does not make a sense when you're designing a solution. It's not a robust solution. So that's what it is about. Now, coming to permission set groups. So what is permission set groups? I'm sorry, I'll take a step back. There's something important that I wanted to discuss and it just skipped for me. And Vaishnav, please keep track of time. Let me know when it's kind of 10 minutes left. So I would like to wrap that up in accordingly. So permission set group is something. Sorry, before we dive into permission set group, there's one thing about permission sets that I wanted you to know. There are several types of permission sets which Salesforce give you out of the box. So there are some custom permission sets, there are integration permission sets, and these names, you might be able to understand what exactly those are. And if not, the links that I'm going to share with you via this PPT or on the, I would say on the chat, we will provide it. Use those or go to help.salesforce.com to read more about it. The one type of permission set that I really wanted to share with you guys is session-based permission set. So a lot of people have been coming back to me and reading about these session-based permission set. And I'm not sure how many of you have used it, but it's a powerful permission set which comes into the picture, and generally people do not end up using it. So I would want to give you a use case where you want to use a session-based permission set. So one example would be in your organization, all of you fill your timesheets, and access to a particular timesheet record. Okay. So in mostly what you have been doing is you have been filling your everyday timesheet or a weekly timesheet. So in here for this particular example, I'm taking a hypothetical situation that all the employees in the organization can fill in their timesheet only in the second half of the Friday for the entire week. From Monday through Friday, we don't allow them to edit their timesheet. Okay, so the time object is there, timesheet object is there. There's a weekly timesheet, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. There are certain fields that capture the times for it. Okay, Sunday time, Monday time, Tuesday time, and so on and so forth. But no employee can fill in the times from Monday to Friday afternoon. Okay, the requirement is such that HR says, I would only want them to reach to the end of the week. Just a hypothetical situation again. And only in the second half, from I would say 3 to 7, people should be able to access their timesheet on a particular object. We are talking about this thing. Okay, so you all might have seen or heard about accessing the login, restricting the login hours. But here it doesn't seem like to be you're restricting the login hours. You're only restricting the access to particular object to be created, read, or updated, I would say, on the time basis. Okay, I just want to open it up for, say, Friday afternoon, as I said. In that particular case, this permission set, the type of permission set which Salesforce provide, which is session-based permission set, comes extremely handy. And I would recommend all of you all go back and try to implement at least one session-based permission sets. It's extremely amazing and it's extremely interesting. And it serves a lot of more purpose than I've just told you. This is one example. once you read about it, once you implement it, you will see the beauty of it. So just go ahead and try to use that session this permission set. Maybe in some other session I would take an entire series on the types of permission sets, but respecting the time here, let's dive into the next topic, which is permission sets group. Now, what's permission sets group? As the name says, you have created a couple of permission sets, and now you want a particular user, I would say, to have the permission of reporting, which is through a permission set. And then again, you have a set of user who has access on a particular object, okay, which is not exposed to everyone, but only certain users in the system can access. And the example, the good example would be, every year you guys have your appraisal. Does your appraisal accessible by anyone and everyone? No, just a couple of users have access to it. So I can create a separate permission set, give permissions over there, and then the managerial people can be assigned those permission sets, and same managerial people wanted the reporting. So what we will do, we will create a permission set group out of it, and then we will assign the entire group to the people who are supposed to access.
Nilesh!
Okay, so we would assign that the entire permission set group to the person. Now, again, extremely important. There's a lot detail about permission set group. I will not dive into it. The most important thing that you need to understand about permission set group is that you can combine, I would say, any number of basically permission sets to a group. Basically, that's one thing. I cannot recall of a limitation, but I have never faced any issue, and I did try more than I think 20-25 at a point of time. So it doesn't seem like, go back and check if there's a limitation, but it doesn't seem like to me at this point of time. The other important thing that we all need to understand about permission sets group before you use it, there's something called as muted permission set, which comes with every permission set group. So whenever you create a new permission set group, by default, you can create at least one, or I would say at most one muted permission set group. And what does that mean? So say in a permission set, you have a permission set which talked about, I would say, 6-7 kind of a permission, 6-7 different system permission or object permission. Now that permission set is pretty much applicable and good to go in that permission set group for the people that you want to give access through this group. The only thing that you don't want them to be able to access is the data about, I would say, the employees, there's a separate object in the system which only captures data about the finances of the organization. Okay, what has been the profit, what has been, except that permission in a particular permission set, you want everything to be visible by the director of solution. Okay, just throwing that hypothetical situation again. So what I can do, I can create a muted permission set, and as the name suggests, you can disable permissions in this particular permission set. So what I'm trying to emphasize upon it, you have always heard that permission sets, when you create, they broaden the access. You cannot, if you have given 3 access, you cannot make it 2 through permission sets. You always expand your permissions using permission sets. That's the basic rule of permission set. But when it comes to permission set groups and you add permission sets to them, you can stop that, okay, using one permission set, which is called muting permission sets. And you can have maximum 1 in there. You can create just 1 muted permission set per permission set group. Per permission set group, that's what you have to understand. Maximum 1. Extremely important thing to understand. And it gives you a lot of power also. That's why. Okay, so this is another one thing that you should try your hand into and try to use in your solutioning. Extremely important thing. And the advantage of using permission set group, you might have understood it by for yourself, that when you use a permission set, you end up maintaining list. The maintenance is very less as compared to maintaining the whole different individual permission sets. So try using permission sets. I haven't seen many architects using this in their design solutions, but this is extremely, extremely important and very, very interesting part. Try incorporating that in your solutions. So again, the last thing or last bit that I wanted to talk to you guys is about the limitation, user profile limitations. So as I said, the permission in the standard profiles, they cannot be edited. I've shared it with you, and it's not hard stop. You can access, maybe in some profiles, standard profiles, you can access the app permissions and sort of those things, but nothing outside the fancy permissions you can do, not something real that you can do out there. I was talking about the user profile permission description and limitations. That's what I was trying to discuss with you guys. And when I was discussing that, I was talking about two restrictions, or I wanted to talk about two restrictions. Sorry. So one, I just said the permission set in standard profiles cannot be edited. On the top of it, the second one is the permission set cannot be used to restrict users' access, as I told, except one case when you put them in a group and you create a muted permission set. That's the only case, exception, I would say, in the Salesforce platform, where you can mute certain permissions using a permission set group. So this is about it. This is what we learned, key aspect, and whatever I've emphasized upon using I would say the group permission set groups and a couple of more things that we'll be using to create a solution. And this is something that I wanted to share with you very, very quickly, what we'll be designing in the next series or next session of the series. We are going to be working on an application which will have, which is going to have basically 4 entities in the system, or 4 kind of profiles in the system: the HR, the regional director, global director, and the employee. Whereas, pardon this, I think this is something that I would want to go back and change. But yes, we will be controlling the access to 4 different objects. One is the hired hand, which is, again, hired hand means your employee. That's what we'll be talking about. Also, when we'll be designing this solution, the other important object that we will have a look at is going to be the manager. The third object that we will talk about is going to be the performance review of the person, your appraisals. And then the fourth thing is what you get after your appraisal, your compensation. So controlling access to these 4 objects through these different profiles, we'll be going to design a solution while we learn things. So next sessions would be much more interesting, and that's where you get the actual hang of the security. So thank you so much for today. It was lovely interacting with all of you all, and looking forward to implement the solution with you guys starting next week. So over to you, Vaishnav.
Yeah, Nia, thank you very much, Nia, for your very informative session. And we have some questions in the chat, so I'll just read them out for you. So okay, Prashant Pandey is asking difference between profile, permission set, and OWD.
Yeah,
I guess you have given that answer, but once again we can.
Yeah, so just quick thing, OWD we haven't covered yet. OWD is not about CRUD. What we talked about today was CRUD permission, which we talked about controlling using the profiles and permission set. OWD we will cover in the next session, but that's kind of something, I would say, as the name suggests, is org wide default. What you can do in the entire org is something that it talks about. So that can have multiple things, again, private, public. We're going to be discussing them in details in the next session when we will design our solution. So while doing that, I'll talk about that in detail, but profile and permission sets, I think we did spoke about it.
Yeah, Nia, thank you, Nia. And like questions are coming on OWD mostly. So we'll be answering them in the next session, right?
Yes, OWD is extremely important, and next step to OWD is, of course, sharing rules and everything. So I'll cover them as a part of one particular session while we try to implement a solution. That way, you'll have a better understanding of, I would say, the OWDs. That's very, very important to understand. So we'll take that in next session. Please do join our next session. You have something to look forward to in that case.
Yeah, and Manoj is asking, suppose if we implemented LWC component, what should we need to take care?
Mm, okay. So I am not really sure of that question. Can you read that again, or maybe we can unmute Manoj to explain that question a little bit more for me?
Yeah, Manoj, if you are there, you can please unmute yourself and give the question.
Okay,
Uh,
okay, thanks. The thing is, suppose if you implemented LWC component, in that components you have some buttons, okay, like creating a record or editing a record or doing some actions will be there in that component.
Hmm.
In that case, uh, I mean, how can we disable those buttons based on this security? Suppose particular object didn't have create permission, so
Hmm.
in that case that button needs to be disabled.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
these kind of scenarios I
Yes.
would like to know.
Yeah, I'll give you the solution right away for the one scenario that you spoke. There could be multiple of such, but I think if I've understood you correctly, what you want to do is basically on your LWC page, you have a create contact button, and only those users who have the permission to create a contact should be able to view that button. Have I understood you correctly? Just a yes or no?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so in that case, what you will do, you have everything controlled through always through a controller, right? You have a controller, or you can always write a controller when you want to do something outside of what LWC and the standard controllers can provide you, right? So you can use a controller in that particular case. From a controller, okay, when this person access this page, okay, on the load time of this access for this particular user, send a value, okay, the cred value. So you might have known that there is method can create, can delete, those kind of methods that are provided by Apex. Use them, fetch the value of if this person can create this type of record, okay, that you trying to create, open the page for. If he has, send a true, otherwise a false. In your LWC, put if else condition. If you have sent true from the backend, display that button. If you haven't, if you have sent the false from the backend, just do not show that button at all. If else, you'll control it in if else basically, but that entire thing is controlled rather from the controller. You cannot have that done in the LWC. You from the controller, you have to send a Boolean value, which is going to tell you whether this person who is accessing on the page on the load time itself, you will check if this person has the permission to create or not, has a permission to delete or not, and on the basis of that, you can hide that. Send true, false, and you're done. Does that
Okay.
help, Manoj?
Yes, yes, yes.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
okay, we have
Thanks.
one more question from Prashant again. Uh, we have CRUD permissions using profiles. Then why permission sets?
Yes. So, Prashant, you have asked extremely important question from the design perspective, I would say. Always start most restrictive. You have heard about this statement in your OWD. Always, you must have heard about it. Private se start karna hai. From the bottom, you will have to start. That's what every designer says. Nobody tells you that when you were talking about profiles and you're trying to give permissions through the profiles, then also give the minimal that they need to access. And on the top of this, whatever you want to provide, use a permission set for that purpose. So the basic difference, I would say, same permission that you can give through profile, you can give it through permission set also. But why and when to use permission set is that you would not want to open every damn thing using the profiles. You would give the basic permission, whatever is required through the profile, and any executive permissions, if you want to give on the top of it without actually editing the profile, use permission set for that. Okay, the example I threw on your table was reporting. The other example is modify all I gave you. And these are the most basic thing. You would want somebody to be able to create the report types. You don't want everybody in the team to be able to create the report type. You may want them to create the reports, but not the report types. So use the same profile for the manager also. To the manager, you can give him the permission set, which allow him to create the report types. Okay, that's why use the permission sets. Without changing the profile of the person, extend his permission, give him more exposure. That's what it is about.
Yeah, thanks, Neha. So I think it was a great question from Prashant.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so I don't see any more questions coming up. So I think everything was clear. Can we move on to the next segment? It's Kahoot.
Yeah, Vaishnav, I think we are good to start the code.
Uh,
So
guys, Vishal and Vaishnav, I'm throwing a surprise on you guys also. You will see a couple of things in your Kahoot quiz which are not directly being taught in the session. And that's just to, just so that you understand that how important security is. You might know the concept, yet you might fall in traps. So beware when you're answering the question.
yeah, sure, sure.
Okay, so people are joining.
Yeah. So Vaishnav, I think we are good. We can start.
I'm locking the Kahoot as well, and here you go. Uh, so here comes your first question. From where can we control automatic sharing via role hierarchy for standard objects? Profile level, sharing role, OWD, and none of these. Okay, we have 18 correct
Yeah,
answers, and let's
great. Many of us has given the right answer. Yeah,
yeah.
great.
So we see Raja in the first place, followed by Vipul and Srini Rao.
Guys, please answer fast. As in every question, the result will be
Sharing role
changed.
can help you. This is an easy one. Restrict access or broad the access. Wow, we have 27 right answers, and let's see the leaderboard. Still, Raja is in the first place, followed by Himanshu and Vipul. Great. So, moving on to the third question. What all permissions are part of modify all? This is also an easy one. Convert leads, transfer record, transfer lead, and all the above. So, yeah, all of them are correct. Wow. Okay, so let's see the leaderboard. Okay, Raja is again first, Vipul and Jagdish. Jagdeep, sorry. So moving on to the fourth one. What does ownership privilege include? View, edit and delete, transfer, change owner, and all the above. So yeah, we have 30 correct answers, and let's see the leaderboard. Again, the same, no changes in the leaderboard. Moving on to the next one. All records in Salesforce has an owner. True or false? Oh,
Neha, this is the
great
tricky
question.
questions which we
Yes.
think. Neha, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can. We can talk about it once we end the Kahoot, but yeah, I knew it.
Okay, okay, that's great.
Yeah, so let's see the leaderboard. What are the positions? So it's completely changed. Vamsi has come first, Raja in the second, and Vipul in the third. So moving on to the next one. A record is owned by a set of users via queue, whereas one of the user in queue does not have CRUD permissions. So what will happen? User will be able to view record being owner. User will not be able to view the record. Wow, we have a proportion there. So we have 50% answered, 50 people answered right. So let's see the leaderboard. Still Vamsi in the first, Raja in the second, and Vipul in the third. So the next one, if a user is assigned two permission set, first one has CRUD, whereas second one does not allow CRUD on an object. So what will happen? User will be able to create record for the object. User will not be able to create record for the object. Okay, we have so many right. Let's see the leaderboard. So no changes in the position. Next. If a user does not have access to a specific record type, will they be able to see the record that have that record type? Let's see. Okay, we have 13 right, and let's see the leaderboard. Vipul is on fire. Vamsi in the first and Raja in the second. Moving on to the next one. What will happen if a field is hidden through field level security and users search a value in that field? So lengthy options. So he will be able to view the field value in search result. No result will be returned. The record will be returned, but the field value not visible, or an error. Great, we have 21 right. Let's see the scoreboard. Oh, Raja has gone down. Vamsi on first, Vipul on second, and Mohan Raj on third. So here comes the final question. If even one person in your organization is not allowed to see position data, what will be OWD? Private, public read write, public read only, none of the above. You can just understand the question and answer this. Great. You have 30 right. And finally, let's see the scoreboard and who is on the podium. Prashant Gupta on third, Vipul on second, and Vamsi on third, Vamsi Kanuri. Congratulations, winners. And we have fourth, Mohan Raj, and fifth is Raja. So I think you enjoyed the Kahoot, and Neha,
Thank you so much to all of the winners, and thank you so much, Neha, for providing the facts to all of the winners. And guys, those who are the winner, Vamsi and Vipul, please share your email address with us so that we can get your email address and we can mail you to get your the following details from your side. Sonam, what doubt you have in first question? Can you please ask?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I have a doubt is there that we can't change the role hierarchy for the standard objects, like they are uneditable. I believe first question is regarding revolving that one, that if you want to change the role hierarchy for the standard object, where we can. In OWD, we can see that option, but only we can edit for the custom object, not for the standard objects.
Can we go back to the first question? I would like to see what that question was. Maybe then I'll be able to help her.
Vaishnav, without sharing a screen, can you please spell out, can you please pronounce the question? What was the first question in the code?
I'll just read out the question. From where can we control automatic sharing via role hierarchy for standard objects?
Hmm.
Yeah, so for standard objects, for role hierarchy, we can't modify, right? Control is something if we can change or if we can update, just like we can control for the custom objects.
Yes, yes, you're right, actually. But just give me 1 second. Actually, would you be able to share your screen, Vaishnav, in any case? Because I don't have the access
Okay.
to the
Vaishnav,
records.
yeah, Vaishnav, you can share your screen.
I need the options to explain exactly
Yeah.
to her what do we mean there.
Yeah, sure. I guess you can see the screen.
Sounds good. So if you see that question, from where can we control automatic sharing via role hierarchy for standard objects? So one, it's not a full control that we're talking about. We are talking about just controlling. So there has been that's again, I told you guys, it's a tricky thing that we're talking about here. So it's not a full access control that we're talking about. We're only talking about the sharing control here. So again, from where can we control automatic sharing via role hierarchy for standard objects? So that was Sonam, right?
Actually, I was in a myth, like or we can say that I didn't understand the question. As you said, it's a little tricky questions.
Mm-hmm.
So might be I am not aware with the implicit sharing. We can handle role hierarchy on the standard objects as well.
So let's do one thing. Let's discuss implicit hierarchy in the next session, and then probably you'll understand. But when you look at the OWD, there's a section in the right hand corner which lets you control the implicit sharing that you have on the different objects. So that's where you control it from, just so that you know.
Okay, I will hands on that.
No, we will. Don't worry, we will have that. But when you open that sharing settings, right hand corner OWD, there is a checkbox that helps you control that entire thing. So we can talk about it in detail in the next session, but that's where you do it from.
Oh, okay.
All right. And you can ping me offline also. I think you have my LinkedIn ID. We can together have a look at it. Yes. Another question that we really wanted to talk about, we had a lot of wrong answers there. If you can just scroll down to that, Vaishnav.
Fifth question. Yeah.
Yeah. So all records in Salesforce has an owner. Again, that's tricky. I told you guys. So this is the answer to it is false. In the master detail relationship, when you have a child record, it does not have an owner field. So there's no owner, direct owner. It is controlled by the parent itself. That's what it is, and that's implicit sharing, basically, guys. So that comes implicitly. So that's what it is about. Child record will not have an owner. I think everything else looked pretty straightforward. But if you guys still have any questions, you can ping me on LinkedIn, or you can reach out to me on Twitter as well.
Excuse me, I have a question on the transfer records.
On
Lead
the
record
Mhm.
transfer, yeah. Ideally, for lead record, even if you are owner, you need a transfer lead permission. Right? I'm not sure. I think so.
Can someone help me? Vishal, can you repeat the question for me, or maybe Vaishnav? What was that?
I did not.
The one just above the ownership question, I guess.
Okay. Is that a question? Can you name the question number, please? What does ownership privileges includes? Is that the one? Number 4?
Yeah.
Okay, scroll down, please. Yeah. So, owner of the record, when we talked about, so definitely view, edit, and delete, that comes handy. But there are 2 other permissions. If you own a lead, you can definitely transfer the ownership of that lead to someone else. That's one thing. If that's for leads, it's a separate, altogether a separate permission, a system permission that you need. Okay, that's for the other sort of records, which is outside the lead, you have the transfer record permissions. So that's what you can do with the ownership. You can, and again, you can change the ownership. So for the lead, did we edit something? Transfer lead was. Can you go back to the screen, Vaishnav, please?
Okay, 1 second. Some glitch.
But anyways, that's also not wrong. What you have written is right as well. That still stands true. So the answer is still all of the above. You can of course view, edit, delete as I was explaining during the session. But also, since you own that particular record, you have full control on that record. Okay, so you can transfer that record to someone else. You can do that, or you can change the owner. So when you say transfer that record, you can transfer that record to someone else if it is checkboxed in your profile. There's another setting which lets somebody else approve it on your behalf. So you can transfer that record to someone else. You have that permission. So there should be transfer lead. I think we did some mistake there, but still it stands true. Anything else, guys?
Guys, if you are having any queries, please feel free to ask your questions. Otherwise, we are good to wrap up the session. We will wait for next 1 more minutes, and if we didn't get any queries, then we can wrap up the session. And thank you so much, Neha. Neha, we have a question like, can we restrict users from deleting records even if they are owner? From bottom.
Yeah, even if they are owner, don't give them delete permission on the profile level. So this checkbox that you have, the grid permission, don't check that delete box level.
Guys, please feel free to ask your question. Or if you don't have any questions, you can leave the session and we can wrap up the session if we don't get any queries. Yeah, thank you so much, Neha, for such an amazing session.
Thank you,
And
guys.
thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's session. We got another question. Manual sharing is kind of sharing record or moving record from Manoj.
When you say moving record, can you elaborate that a little bit, please, Manoj? Are we talking about transferring here?
It's a kind of user have a provision to move record like after clicking manual sharing, he can see the record and who is the owner. He can see the record after clicking manual sharing.
Okay, I was finding it a little difficult to hear, but still I'll try to answer as much as I could understand of your question. So sharing record, when you say, or rather I would say manual sharing when you say, we'll cover that again in the next session, but just so that you know, manual sharing means for the time being you're open up sharing, you're opening up that record to be viewed by, okay, or edited by a particular user. You can do that, and it's available in Lightning also. Previously it was just Classic. With this release you're going to have that in Lightning as well. So that's it. You are not letting somebody else own it. You're not moving it in their bucket. You still remain the owner when you do the manual sharing, but yet you're opening up until you want to stop that sharing for another person to view or edit as you give him permissions to all that. So that's what it is.
Okay.
Ownership
Thanks.
still remains with the actual user, the initial user.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Thanks everyone for joining today's session, and thank you so much, Neha, for such an amazing session. We are not getting any queries, so I think we are good to wrap up the session. Have a great day. Have a happy weekend. So bye for today.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you, everyone, for joining the session.